Classification of elements and periodic properties. Yes, in stanzas 11 chemistry, today I am going to discuss classification of elements and periodic properties. Chapter 3. Properties. Yes. First of all, let us take up the modern periodic table. All of us know that modern periodic table has 18 groups and 7 periods. Modern periodic table has been divided into 4 blocks. This is S block, this is D block, P block and F block. Group 1 and group 2 is in S block, group 3 to group 12 is in D block, and group 13 to group 18 P block, and there are 2 series of 14 elements. They are in which the last electron enters into anti-penultimate cells F subcell, that is F block elements. So we all know that there were many lacunas, there were many limitations in Mendeleev's periodic table. In Mendeleev's periodic table, Mendeleev arranged the elements in order of their increasing atomic masses. So there was many limitations. He could not define the position of isotope. He could not define the position of hydrogen. There were certain anomalous position of elements. Some elements with higher atomic masses were kept before the elements which were kept which were having lower atomic masses. Then Mendeleev has divided the groups into subgroups, and there were no correlation between these subgroups. All these things was overcome by Moseley in his modern periodic table. Modern periodic table is based on atomic numbers. In modern periodic table, physical and chemical properties of the elements are periodic functions of their atomic number. In modern periodic table, there are 18 groups and 7 periods. We all know the vertical columns are groups and the horizontal rows are periods. In modern periodic table, group 1 and group 2 has been placed in S block, and group 13 to 18 has been placed in P block, 3 to 12 D block, and I told that separate 14 elements has been placed in F block, in which the last electron enters into N-2 F orbital. We'll gradually learn the detail of this P block, D block, S block and F block. Now, let us just discuss the electronic configuration of S, P, D and F. Yes, what is the electronic configuration of S block elements? S block elements general electronic configuration is NS 1 to 2. Group 1 has general electronic configuration NS1, and group 2 has general electronic configuration NS2. Now D block has general electronic configuration N-1, 1 to 10, NS 1 to 2. Yes students, you can write N-1, 0 to D, 0 to 10 and NS 1 to 2 also. Now P block elements has general electronic configuration NS2, NP 1 to 6. And this A block elements have general electronic configuration N-2, F 1 to 14, n minus 1, d 0 to 1, ns2. So first of all, we'll have to remember that modern periodic table has been divided into 4 blocks and the general electronic configuration of each block. Now these S block elements, they are soft metals, they have slow ionization enthalpy, they are the strongest reducing agent. All these properties you can take up from S block elements. Next, this D block elements, they are known as also transition elements. Sometimes people ask you why they are known as transition elements, because their position is in between S and P block elements and their properties lies in between those of S and P block elements. They generally have partially filled d orbital, so they are known as d block elements. Next is p block elements. P block elements, in p block you'll be finding metal, non-metal, metalloid. 3 kinds of elements you'll be finding in p block. P block elements shows variable oxidation states. D block elements also shows variable oxidation state. Transition elements also shows variable oxidation states. Now, this transition elements, if you speak about the properties, transition elements or D block elements are good catalysts. They are paramagnetic generally. They form generally colored compounds. All these properties you can remember. And these F block elements, these are also known as inner transition elements. There are 2 series of F block elements. One is known as lanthanides and another is actinides. In lanthanides, the electrons are gradually filled in 4f subcell, and in actinides the electrons are gradually filled in 5f subcell when we move from left to right in the series. After lanthanum, these 14 elements are present, and after actinium these 14 elements are present, so they are named as lanthanides and actinides. Okay, now let us take up the periodic properties. Yes, periodic properties are those physical properties which shows a general train, regular train, when we move from left to right in a series or top to bottom in a group. Now let us discuss these periodic properties. First periodic properties which I am going to discuss is atomic radius. Yes, I hope all of you know what is atomic radius. We all consider atom as a sphere, so the distance from nucleus to valence shell is known as atomic radius. Now, atomic radius is expressed in T terms. One is covalent radius. The elements whose atoms form covalent bond, for this we find covalent radius. Next is metallic radius. For metals, we find out metallic radius. And another kind is van der Waals radius. In this, we find out the radius of the 2 very closely spaced atoms in 2 different molecules. We'll discuss one by one gradually. See, the size of the atom is very small, so it is very difficult to measure the atomic radius of individual atom of an element. So what the scientists did, they took up the distance of two nearest atom of an element and took the distance between their nucleus and divided it by 2 to get the atomic radius. All of you can understand mathematically. If you take the distance of the nucleus of the two nearest atom and if you divide it by 2, then you will get the atomic radius of the element, atom radius of the individual element. Now the elements which form covalent bond, the elements atomic orbitals will overlap. So covalent radius is usually little lesser than the actual atomic radius. Next one is metallic radius. In case of metals, in metallic crystal, we take up the distance between two nearest metallic atom and we divide it by 2 to get the metallic radius. Next is van der Waals radius. In case of noble gases which exist in monoatomic state, as well as if we want to find out the atomic radius of an element which are bonded to two different elements in a molecule, then we take up the distance of two nearest atoms in two different molecules. And we divide it by 2 to get the magnitude of van der Waals radius. So you can easily see that magnitude of van der Waals radius will be maximum and magnitude of metallic radius will be more than the magnitude of covalent radius. So before studying about the trend of atomic radius, we'll have to keep one thing in our mind, that atomic radius is expressed in terms of metallic radius, in terms of covalent radius and in terms of van der Waals radius. Now, what is the general trend of atomic radius? Yes, of course, when we move from left to right in a period, atomic radius decreases. And when we move from top to bottom in a group, atomic radius generally increases. Why that is so? I hope all of you know. When we move from left to right in a period, the electrons are added in the same cell. So the magnitude of nuclear charge effect dominates over screening effect. So the effective nuclear charge increases. I hope all of you remember what is effective nuclear charge. Effective nuclear charge. Effective nuclear charge is equal to nuclear charge effect minus screening effect. What is this nuclear charge effect? It is the attraction pull. The nucleus is attracting the electrons. That is known as, that attractive force is known as nuclear charge effect. And what is this screening effect? This is the repulsive factor. The electrons of one cell is repelling the electrons of the other cell. That is known as screening effect. And the effective nuclear charge is equal to nuclear charge effect minus screening effect. So when we move from left to right, since the electron is added in the same cell, so effective nuclear charge increases, so atomic radius decreases. And when we move from top to bottom, addition of a new cell takes place. So screening effect increases and that results in the decrease in effective nuclear charge. So the atomic radius generally increases when we move from top to bottom in the periodic table. So there are many exceptions, but the general trend is this. All of us will remember the effective nuclear charge. What is that? That is nuclear charge effect minus screening effect, and that decreases from top to bottom generally, and that increases from left to right in a period. So this trend of atomic radius we can remember. Okay. Next we'll discuss ionization enthalpy. Ionization enthalpy. Ionization enthalpy. What is this ionization enthalpy? Amount of energy required to remove the most loosely bound electron from an isolated gaseous atom to form a cation, that is ionization enthalpy. What I am telling? Amount of energy, the minimum amount of energy required to remove the most loosely bound electron in an isolated gaseous atom to form a cation, that is known as ionization enthalpy. When we talk about this ionization enthalpy, we'll have to understand the most loosely bound electron. The most loosely bound electron is the electron present in the valence shell or last shell. Okay? How much energy is required to remove this electron from an isolated gaseous atom? That is known as ionization enthalpy. Now, this ionization enthalpy is represented as like this, delta IH. On what factors this ionization enthalpy depends? So, I am discussing some very important factors. There are some more other factors are also present which plays role time to time. First is atomic radius. Second one, penetration effect. Third one, shielding or screening effect. Shielding effect or screening effect. Another is symmetry of electronic configuration. Symmetry of electronic configuration. You see, we all know that atomic radius, if it will decrease, then what will happen? More energy will be required to remove the electron from the valence shell. So, atomic radius is inversely proportional to ionization enthalpy. Inversely proportional to ionization. Lesser will be the atomic radius, more ionization enthalpy will be required to remove the electron. So, more will be the atomic radius, lesser will be the magnitude of ionization enthalpy. Next is penetration effect. Yes, students, this is the term which you will have to understand. See, in a cell, which subcell is nearest to nucleus? Yes. So that is having the maximum penetration effect. S is having maximum penetration effect, then P, then D, then F. So what is the order of penetration effect? S, P, D, F. So maximum energy will be required to remove an electron from S subcell because that is having maximum penetration effect. So penetration effect is directly proportional to ionization enthalpy. More will be the penetration effect, more will be the ionization enthalpy. Next is shielding effect. Shielding effect of D and F orbital is very poor. So we'll have to remember that this shielding effect also plays a role in ionization enthalpy. More will be the shielding effect, more will be the ionization effect. Next, the major factor is symmetry of electronic configuration. It is very important factor. If you remember this, then you can solve many of the questions. Yes, we have studied that half-filled and full-filled orbitals have symmetrical electronic configuration. So they are more stable. So they have more ionization enthalpy than atoms of other elements. Okay, now let us take up some example to understand this symmetry of the electronic configuration. See, if anyone asks why ionization enthalpy of beryllium is more than boron, or why ionization enthalpy of nitrogen is more than oxygen. We'll have to check out the configuration. You see beryllium, atomic number 4, 1s2 and 2s2. And boron, atomic number 5, 1s2, 2s2 and 2p1. Here in case of nitrogen, you see nitrogen, 1s2, 2s2, 2p3. And in case of oxygen, you see 1s2, 2s2 and 2p4. Here you see beryllium is having 2 electrons in 2s subcell. So it is having symmetrical electronic configuration. Symmetrical electronic configuration. So it is stable. But boron is having only 1 electron in 2p subcell. So it is not having symmetrical electronic configuration. So here the symmetry is playing a vital role. Beryllium is having higher ionization enthalpy since it has 2 electrons in 2s subcell. So it has symmetrical electronic configuration. And due to symmetrical electronic configuration, beryllium has higher ionization enthalpy than boron. Now if you take up the example of nitrogen and oxygen, nitrogen is having half-filled 2p orbital, so it is stable due to symmetry of the electronic configuration, so it is having higher ionization enthalpy than oxygen, which is not having symmetrical electronic configuration. Okay, I hope all of you have followed ionization enthalpy and the factors which influences ionization enthalpy. Okay.